Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News for Thursday, January 22. I'm Carrie Simpson. A special welcome to our viewers on YouTube, TVJ International in the Cayman Islands, and online at onespotmedia.com. Here's what we have in the bulletin.
Jury to come to a verdict in Maitland's murder trial. Ex-fireman sentenced to life imprisonment for the brutal killing of his mother-in-law. And later in sports, West Indies under-19 team through to Super 6 stage.
Now the details. The 7-member jury, which has heard almost 8 months of evidence in the Noel Maitland trial, has retired for deliberations. Presiding Judge Justice Leighton Pusey, who began his summation yesterday, ended his address at 11:28 this morning. Justice Pusey told jurors that they should come to a verdict that they all agree on. He also told the jury that, which consists of 4 men, that if members are sure beyond a reasonable doubt that Constable Maitland committed murder, they should find him guilty, and if not, they should find him not guilty. Now, 36 witnesses were called during the trial. Constable Maitland is charged with the murder of his girlfriend, 24-year-old Donnelly Donaldson. He's also charged with the unlawful burial of a corpse. Donnelly, a social media personality and customer service representative, was reported missing on July 13, 2022. Now we'll have details on the verdict in Primetime News this evening. Residents of West Green in St. James say they are at a breaking point as a persistent dust nuisance continues to plague their communities. This comes months after the passage of Hurricane Melissa in October last month. Shamila Pullen reports.
According to residents of West Green, the problem started after the hurricane damaged the roads and surrounding infrastructure, leaving loose dirt and debris exposed. Since then, constant traffic and dry weather conditions have steadily worsened the situation, turning damaged areas into persistent sources of dust.
And I know dust and mud. The only difference when the dust come breeze blow upon you. But the mud now, when you have to move, you have to go in it.
After the flooding, we had a lot of mud. Mud like up to 4 to 5 inches tall in the house and on the outside on the road also.
The conditions have resulted in steady rise in health complaints, including respiratory problems, persistent coughing, sinus infections, and skin irritation. The elderly have been among the most affected, with several residents saying older persons are now confined indoors to avoid aggravating existing health conditions.
I had to go to the doctor. I had a swelling at my neck here, which is, they call it lymph nodes, something like that. I'm not sure of the name, but I had to go to the doctor, and I got 2 different types of antibiotics. That was one for parasite cleansing, and the other was for the natural antibiotic.
And the pitney them at school, they affect them. Who have asthma and them, so they affect them bad over school. You know. So on the school front, they want to sort out.
Residents say they have repeatedly appealed to the relevant authorities for assistance.
We need to get maybe the fire truck to come around here and clean up the area more, because we have persons are still throwing out stuff, because it's a whole lot that has happened. We had a lot of muds inside. We had to shovel them out. We're still shoveling around the back, still because we still have mud around there, and we still have a lot of debris on the street. Every little different areas, we still have debris on the street. We have a lot of dust. We need the fire truck to come and do some cleaning of the street, like to wash off the street and to help.
One resident suggested that while government intervention is necessary, residents must also play a more active role in reducing the impact of the dust nuisance.
What we are saying, we have a lot of hydrant position all over the community. All that it needs, we don't need a fire unit. We don't need a fire engine. All that it needs is 4-length hose, a hydrant key, an adapter, and a nozzle, right? And we can wash off the street without the assistance of the fire unit.
So I'm a senior citizen that can manage to clean the water. And I'm afraid to get anybody to come into my home because they have sticky finger.
Kimberly Petty for TVJ News.
Meanwhile, Councillor for the Spring Gordon Division, Dwight Crawford, insists the cleanup process is ongoing.
I think that this cleaning and clearing will continue for a very long time because it will never end. It won't end until the residents finish putting out their material. So if I was to put a timeline on it to tell you that, boy, I'll finish tomorrow, I'll be dishonest because there are still homes in both communities where persons have not even started to clean out yet because they live abroad or they live somewhere else or for various reasons persons haven't started to do the cleaning yet. So it's ongoing. It's an ongoing process, but we're committed to it and we're in there daily. I mean, equipment was in there a few days ago. Trucks, tractors and backhoe, NSWMA, the Member of Parliament's team, myself, my team, we've been in there and we continue.
An ex-fireman has been sentenced to life imprisonment for the brutal killing of his mother-in-law, 63-year-old Maxine Parkinson of Archery Hill, Claremont in St. Anne. 42-year-old Dwayne Simpson, a resident of Claremont and a serving member of the St. Anne Fire Department at the time of his arrest, was sentenced on Tuesday in the St. Anne Circuit Court by Justice Simone Wolfreese. He will be eligible for parole after 19 years. Now, Ms. Parkinson was reported missing on the night of January 8, 2024, prompting a police search. 2 days later, following investigations, Simpson was taken into custody, where he later confessed to killing Miss Parkinson. He then led investigators to a location known as 9 Palm in Claremont, where her body was found buried in a shallow grave. Now, in handing down the sentence, Justice Wolfreese described Simpson's actions as excessive, noting that the victim had suffered multiple stab wounds before being buried. Simpson appeared calm and reflective as the sentence was delivered in court. 6 families are homeless after fire destroyed their homes in Dunbehold and St. Catherine on Tuesday.
6 families were left homeless after firefighters carried out a cooling down operation in Dunbehold and St. Catherine sometime after 2 Tuesday afternoon. TVJ News understands that residents saw fire coming from a section of the property and alerted the fire department about 12:38 p.m.
On arrival at the given location, the building was engulfed in flames and the brigade quickly got into operation and was able to bring the fire under control and subsequently extinguish it.
In the moment after the fire, residents scrambled to save what they could. Some managed to salvage a few belongings, but others weren't so lucky.
And I saved nothing.
Another resident says she was asleep when the fire started, but was spared by neighbors who raised the alarm.
Hear the knocking, and me jump up, and by me run out, the whole next door was engulfed in fire, and my side now the fire to the bathroom section, they catch a fire just a little bit, and I was able to throw water and out the fire.
Divisional Commander for St. Catherine Fire Department Superintendent Dennis Lyon says no injuries have been reported. However,
the brigade investigation is continuing into where the fire originated and its cause.
In the meantime, the affected families are left to figure out their next, grateful to be alive, but facing the difficult reality of starting over. Antonia Atkinson, TVJ News.
Prank calls continue to keep the Jamaica Fire Brigade busy. In Manchester, firefighters are grappling with the fake calls, which are not only diverting resources but could also result in delayed responses in real emergencies. Jamila Maitland reports.
The difference between life and death in an emergency is time. That's according to District Officer at the Manchester Division of the Jamaica Fire Brigade, Carlton Brown. These days, however, Mr. Brown says the fire department is wasting precious time responding to prank calls.
We, ask persons not to give us any false alarm. Recently, we have been getting a lot of false alarm.
Mr. Brown, who was speaking to residents in Hillside, says the parish has 2 fire stations, in Christiana and Mandeville. However, they respond to calls in 4 other parishes in sections of St. Anne, Trelawny, Clarendon, and St. Elizabeth. Mr. Brown says the prank calls not only waste time and resources, but can also cost lives. The holiday periods are the worst. In 2023, the Jamaica Fire Brigade received 1,413 prank calls. In 2024, 1,759 prank calls, a 24.4% increase. TVJ News reached out to the JFB for the 2025 data, but did not receive a response up to news time. Of concern, too, are calls placed to the fire department too late during the disaster.
Many persons, they died in fires because they wait and they try to help themselves, and when they can't help any further, then they call fire brigade.
The firefighter is encouraging citizens to be responsible, especially during this time. Since Hurricane Melissa, the fire department has been on increased alert. Bushfires, house fires caused by power or electrical surges, illegal connections remain some of the most common phone calls. Fire caused by candles, lamps, and lanterns have also been reported in neighboring parishes, still without electricity.
If you think that you need the Jamaica Fire Brigade, call us. Don't wait until you can't help yourself anymore. It is better you call, and when we come, if it was a cloud and it seemed as if it was fire or smoke, when you call, we will understand that it wasn't a fire, it was the cloud passing.
Jamila Maitland, TVJ News.
It is time for a break here on the Midday News, but stay with us, more stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. After weeks of heavy rainfall, work has resumed at the temporary location for the Trelawny infirmary. The infirmary sustained extensive structural damage during the passage of Hurricane Melissa last October. $150 million will be spent to prepare land for the placement of 4 prefabricated containers that will house residents and staff of the Trelawny infirmary. Local government minister Desmond McKenzie says work is estimated to be completed by March.
The first phase of the work, we're spending, I think, $65 million. And the second phase, which will include the building of the storeroom, the laundry facility, a room for the staff, and an isolation facility, which is required, will take up the second phase of the work.
The containers are being temporarily installed at the Elletson Wakeland Center, a multipurpose stadium in Falmouth.
Trelawny is going to be the first parish to have seen this kind of reconstruction under this program.
In the meantime, local government minister Desmond McKenzie says his ministry is far advanced in securing a permanent location for the infirmary.
The guarantees that we have on these units is for 10 to 12 years. And once I won't be here for 10 to 12 years. But I do hope that whatever we do after that, we will ensure that we put in something that will be able to stand up to another Melissa. God forbid we don't get one more like that.
In light of the destruction to the bee industry in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, bee farmers in Montego Bay have been given a boost with a wax foundation miller to aid in the process of honey making. Mayor of Montego Bay, Richard Vernon, says as part of efforts to bridge the city's gaps, the municipal corporation as well as the mayor's charity funds saw it fit to intervene.
This contribution is something that we were looking at before Melissa.
Right.
However, Melissa has exacerbated the need for us to have this equipment ready. And as simple as it looks, it is very important for the production line of in honey production.
That the mayor's charity fund aims to help those who have fallen on hard times. Mayor Richard says the fund will be leading a project for the restoration of homes, which is set to begin in a matter of weeks. In the meantime, Chairman of the St. James Beef Farmers Association, Dennis Mickey, is urging beef farmers in St. James to be part of the organization.
This piece of equipment is one which we use to make foundation for the bees, which is pretty expensive. If we can lower cost of production for the honey, then it is likely that the public will be in a better position. Of the organization, so we're inviting all bee farmers to be a member. Once you're a member, you come into the organization, then you're free to we mill your wax for free.
It is now time for the Business Minute.
The Bank of Jamaica says it will intervene in the foreign exchange market with $20 million this morning, despite the recent appreciation of the Jamaican dollar. The central bank says the funds must be sold to end users or members of the productive sector to pay for raw materials, intermediate goods, and capital equipment. It also warned that authorized dealers and cambios must not sell the funds for more than 20 Jamaican cents above the price at which they were purchased. The minimum amount that can be bought under the intervention is $100,000. President Donald Trump says the U.S. is exploring a potential deal on Greenland after talks with NATO as he backed off threats to tariff European allies that had opposed his plans for America to acquire the island. On social media, Trump offered a few details about a discussion that both he and NATO described as very productive. After rattling the transatlantic alliance with weeks of rhetoric, the U.S. president said the meeting had led to the framework of a potential agreement. But there was no suggestion of a deal that might meet Trump's demand for ownership of Greenland, an ambition he restated at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, while also ruling out military force. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Kimberly Petty.
Thank you, Kimberly. Time now for the top stories from around the world.
In the region, former Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, has urged the current government not to accept deportees and refugees from the United States, warning that the move poses serious national security risks. He cautioned that while the U.S. may describe the numbers as small, they could grow over time and allow deportees to strengthen the local and regional criminal networks. Dr. Gonsalves also raised concerns about the lack of transparency, noting that the U.S. often provides limited background information on deportees. Meanwhile, Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica and Guyana have confirmed that they will accept asylum seekers and deportees from the United States. A coroner has ruled that the death of Cuban national Geraldo Luna's Campos, who died while in ICE custody in El Paso, Texas, a homicide. An autopsy found that he died from asphyxia due to neck and torso compression while being physically restrained. ICE had previously claimed Campos suffered a medical crisis after resisting officers. Witnesses, however, alleged guards choked him. His family's attorney is seeking to prevent the deportation of key witnesses ahead of a wrongful death lawsuit. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Jamila Maitland for TVJ News.
Thank you, Jamila. We now head to our final break, but stay with us. The Midday Sports Report is next.